Thanks to technology and the spread of the internet, video games have become a popular form of entertainment, as they are accessible to a large segment of the population. With increasing demand for these products, the need to adapt and localize them in different languages and cultures has also increased in direct proportion. One aspect that should certainly not be overlooked is the innate ability of video games to break down not only linguistic but also cultural and social barriers. Just think about the large section of users, often forgotten or completely ignored, which includes people with disabilities or with social integration problems. Thanks to the adaptation and localization of video games, even people with these problems can still enjoy an immersive video game experience, deconstructing the concept of video games as mere entertainment, and further reinforcing the need for large companies to translate their products and make them available to an ever-growing number of users. This is where the processes of adaptation and localizations come into play. Although partly similar, adapting and localizing a video game are two quite distinct practices. Adaptation means modifying the content on a cultural level to make it more comprehensible and culturally related to a target audience. Localizing, on the other hand, means translating all the textual contents into another language, including dialogues, subtitles, and even their dubbing. However, it is not always easy to adapt and localize a video game, as several challenges can arise during the production process. One of the most difficult and common is undoubtedly that of the budget. Very banally, in fact, if a company does not have sufficient budget, it very often tends not to adapt and localize its video game, limiting it both in terms of appreciation and sales. It should also be remembered that as with books and films, video games are also differentiated into genres, and each is characterized by very different challenges. An example of this are simulation video games, of which The Sims is one. The latter is a milestone in video game translation, as it is one of the first not to use dialogues in known languages, but to have the characters communicate through a language that is a mix of all the others, the Simlish. The challenge here is not in translating texts or inserting subtitles, but in localizing the game not from a known language, but from a completely new one. Another common challenge is censorship. Incredibly, one of the most censored video game sagas in the world is that of Pokemon. In the third generation of video games, for example, one of the legendary creatures, called Registeel, was depicted in Japan with his left arm raised, but without any reference to Nazism or any other theme. For this reason, the game in its European version had to slightly modify the sprite by depicting the Pokemon in question with both arms along its body. That of Registeel, however, was not the only accusation the Western audience made against the Japanese software house Game Freak, which was quickly criticized for the design of many Pokemons, among which Jinx stands out. The latter was considered extremely racist, as his appearance resembled that of a black person with strongly stereotyped characteristics. To solve the problem, the Japanese company decided to change the Pokemon skin color from black to purple, a color it still retains in recent versions of the games. In conclusion, despite the challenges faced by adapters and translators, the adaptation and localization of video games are fundamental processes to ensure an immersive and rewarding gaming experience for an international audience. Although they have not yet become a standard in the gaming world due to excessive costs, they overcome the language and cultural barriers that exist worldwide, allowing players not only to fully immerse themselves in virtual worlds for fun and entertainment, but also to learn more about culture that seems to be too distant from their own. Adaptation and localization, in fact, are strictly necessary if a company aims to spread a country's culture around the world, promoting diversity and inclusion. Personally, video games represent not only a form of mere entertainment, but also an additional medium through which I've been able to mature in many ways, contributing to my growth first as a person and then as a gamer. Both my passion for languages and for other cultures, Japanese among them, are mainly due to my love for video games, thanks to which, over the years, I've been able to interface directly with people from all over the world, not only learning firsthand about elements belonging to their cultures, but at the same time becoming a medium through which other people have been able to learn more about mine. However, if the games I played as a child had never been translated or even adapted, it would most likely not have been the same. Therefore, more and more video game companies should, in my opinion, invest in the adaptation and localization of their video games, ensuring equal access and enjoyment of high-quality experience for all players, regardless of their geographical or linguistic origin.